already signed in before. We only want anybody that is brand new or who's never signed in before. Okay? On the sign-in sheet. So let's get started. Everybody can stand for the pledge.
Where's your quorum?
Well, Adam's here, we have.
Yeah,
Three people.
I'm useful for once.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, hope everybody had a really nice Thanksgiving. Yeah, we have a couple of people that are out, and I'm going to ask you to keep them in your prayers. Jim Lyons had a fall, so he's in rehab, and so keep him in your prayers. James and Jessica was unable to make it tonight. Lori is having some eye issues, and since she's not driving at night, and she's having surgery next month, so keep her in the prayers, and she should be back with her. But we do have 4 of us, and that's more than half, so we have enough to have a motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second.
Okay. So moved. Okay, let's introduce ourselves, Adam.
I'm Adam. I'm the least important of the 4.
Well said, my friend. True. I'm Paula Mullis, I'm the chair.
I'm
Elizabeth Edgewood. And I will tell you, when Bob says he's taking notes, he takes notes. Okay, so we will have our sheriff's report, Captain of Funerals.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Oh.
All right. So the community crime report is the dates from this are October 30th to November 30th. So comparing 24 to 25. The top 3 calls for service. The number 1 call for service is the same both years. Suspicious incidents. Number 2 last year was check on subjects, and which is the same this year, so that's the same as well. And then number 3 last year was animal complaints, was 78. This year, 911 hang-ups outpaced the animal complaints. There was 127 of those. Total calls for service was an increase of 9%, so it went from 2,626 to 2,852. And total crashes was a decrease of 12%, 43 last year during that time frame to only 38 this year. Part 1 crimes and serious crimes, 0 homicides. Last year we had 3 rapes, 0 rapes this year. Robberies, we had 0 last year, but we did have 2 this year. Assaults went from 12 to 9, so a 25% decrease there. Burglaries the same, 2 and 2. Thefts were decreased by 17%, and of the 24 thefts during that time frame, 5 of those were shoplifting complaints. Auto thefts were decreased by 40%. Non-fatal overdoses, we had 3 of them this year. We didn't have any last year. Fatal overdoses, we had 1 last year and none this year. I do not have the school bus violation stats. I normally have. They have not been compiled yet and sent out for the month of November. I probably will have those in the next few days. Yeah, yes, absolutely. And that is all I have for the community crime report. Anybody have any?
I have a question for you. When we say suspicious incidents, what does that include?
Yeah, it could be anything, and a lot of those, there was 142 of them, right, during that time frame this year. A lot of those are guys out proactively doing patrol, and they see maybe a vehicle running in the park after hours. That's a suspicious incident. If you drive by and see something that doesn't look right, you call it in, like, hey, there's something going on over here, I don't know what it is. That's classified as a suspicious incident. So it varies. It's a wide range of calls for service.
School buses.
I don't have that data.
I just don't have it.
Yeah, I don't have that data. Holiday weekend hasn't been compiled yet, but it will be. Yeah.
Minor stuff, but I've been noticing a lot of people driving around like past as it gets darker earlier. People forget to turn their lights on, and I've always said that, man, that's just got to be the easiest ticket to write. It's like $25, you get money. You see somebody without lights, or the lights when it's raining.
Yep.
And it just seems like, it would be helpful I know you can't profile, but if you were gonna profile, I drive a gray car. You could profile gray cars because gray cars are impossible to see if they don't have their lights on. You have my permission as a gray car driver, but
Speak for all of us?
yeah, that's fine. I'm giving myself that power, but it would be. I don't know. I know it's it's not something that is sexy as far as law enforcement is concerned, but that sure would help. I think.
Yeah, the time change, there's like studies nationally, the time change and how it affects traffic flow and crash data and stuff. It is a problem, and that's a big contributing factor to that, and we're aware of that, and I will remind the guys as well. Yeah. Yes,
When will you guys plan to start enforcing parking regulations across the county?
we do.
In our neighborhood?
We do. It's always something, but it's one of those things where, like, triaging things that are going on, right? So that's the challenge, and it's a resource challenge, and time, honestly. When the guys and girls are out there, if they see one, they should be taking care of them when they can. If they're not on the route to something else or doing something else, but yes, it's
Maybe
always
something quick where you just have a little thing that you put on somebody's windshield wiper that says, "This is from the sheriff's department. You are parked illegally. I'm not writing a ticket this time, but be aware. You can't park across the sidewalk. You can't park the wrong way." I mean, it's horrible in our neighborhood.
We are
40% of the cars in our neighborhood seem like they're illegally parked.
What neighborhood are you in?
Rumsey Ave.
Rose Island, yeah. Yeah, we try, our focus there is education, because oftentimes
Yeah.
they just don't know, right, that they're even in violation. So what we try to do before we do any pieces of paper or citations is make contact with the vehicle owner and educate them on the parking law.
Okay. Go ahead. I had one quick question, because you said, with the suspicious incidents, did you all ever find out or get the rest of that ring? Remember the theft of the old cooking oil from the Waffle House back during the summer? They discovered somebody is getting into their dumpsters and stuff and oil at the Wawa, the two Wawas, the one on Woodsdale and the one up here. And it's like, well, they don't really have a lot of cooking oil and stuff, but what is the purpose, or what is it about this oil that makes it such a hot commodity on the?
Yeah, there's an aftermarket, it's sold, it's refined, sold, and it's, that particular one you're talking about, and what we've seen consistently over the years when we have a ring of it or multiple incidents of it, is they're typically out of state, and they're typically from the New York area, which is the case of the one that we had back in the summer. He had a business where he sold his biodiesel format, and he would go around and siphon oil out of tanks of businesses up and down the East Coast, and resell it. So there's a market for it, especially in that area. So we see it. When we do see it, it's not often. It usually passes through. We find that they're from that New York area. I haven't heard anything recently. So with the Wawa, we will make contact. Have they reported this? Because I haven't heard it.
No, they hadn't reported, and then like I said, Officer Nathan and Goodman and all of them, they're up there, they come every night, and really appreciate that, because unfortunately, the only male that they had working with the young ladies overnight was in a car accident Saturday night.
Okay.
And the girls would have been there by themselves, but they always come through, and they did, like I said, they deserve a lot. And then the last question I had for you, what was the gentleman's name that had came last meeting, and how are his projects coming so far and trying to develop the resources and additional things that you all need?
That was Major Dunbar that you're speaking about?
Yes.
Yes, Major Dunbar. Yeah, it's an ongoing process. A lot of that stuff's done through the budget process, so we're coming up on that. We send a list of our needs based on need for top to bottom, and so that's all being worked out now. It's moving, gearing towards July 1 will be the next fiscal year, so a lot of those requests are in the budget.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Somebody.
I'm sorry. We had another question.
Sorry, I just had one for Harford Square. We have, thank you for the cameras. We have been able to call in and do some investigation. It's working. Thank you. But we had some complaints from our homeowners where they're noticing that cars are coming in from other communities and selling something out of their cars, they don't live in the courts. So we're asking for, or they're asking for more kind of patrolling in the area. Of course, they couldn't give specifics, so we couldn't call it in,
Yeah.
couldn't give a time, and so we have encouraged them to call anonymously. When they see those things, to give the details, because, one, and two, without that, it's kinda hard to, it's hard to investigate.
Yeah.
But essentially, I've gotten several calls that in different courts, it's happening, so,
If you can encourage them to get like the good date and time and a rough description, because we can go back at the cameras and look at it and get
right.
really good information, and then we can conduct thorough investigations with that. So,
Of course, they don't have any of that, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm just saying that.
yep, absolutely, yeah. I will. I'll make
Yeah.
sure that.
And then your folks also have taught about the vacant homes that have been broken into.
Yeah.
And so we've been looking into that, and it's still happening, so we'll, do what we can to work with you guys on the ones that we know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm fairly confident it's juveniles based on the evidence that we have from inside of those two vacants. But unfortunately, at this point, I don't think we have any new development leads or anything. But it's juveniles in the area.
Okay, we're encouraging folks to call when they see something, they see a blind open, they know the house is ready to call.
Yeah.
Don't call us, call the police.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so last month we had a lot of questions that we were asking about Harford Transit, so we are very pleased tonight that we have Gary Luzinski from Harford Transit. Gary, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. Glad to be here. I know transit is always a popular topic because there's never enough, and we all certainly understand that. But what we handed out, everybody should have a Harford Transit link fastbacks. So I thought I'd go over, and this is sort of one of the things we talk about, going quickly down through the list. We have 7 fixed routes that we operate with 12 buses every day, 12 during the day, 10 in the evening. We have 10 to 15 demand response vehicles. That is where we go to people's homes, pick them up, take them to senior centers, medical appointments, hospitals, wherever they go. And then we recently have Wi-Fi on all of our buses. That is the password there to get in, think_link. We basically operate from a little after 5 o'clock in the morning till 8:37 in the evening. We used to operate later than that, but any time after 8:30, out of the 10 buses on the road, we had 2 passengers a week. So we cut it back because that 8:30 time was sort of the cutoff of when it seemed there was no more ridership on our vehicles. So that is where we're at as of now. We have 3 free apps for our clients to use. Token Transit, that's where you can buy bus passes. And then, you show your phone, scan it, it will validate the ticket. You pay through your phone. And along with that, all the way over to the right, where you see in the blue there, save money with Token Transit bulk passes. So you buy bulk passes like $3 for all day general, $1.50 all day for seniors. There's a weekly pass, a monthly pass, and the monthly pass is really used strongly by Harford Community College students. They seem to be the biggest users of them. Along with that, we have Passio Go. That is an app where if you load it onto your phone, you can actually be somewhere, click the link, it will show you where the next bus stop is closest to your current location. It will tell you how to get there, and it will also tell you the next time the bus is arriving. You can actually see on the little map, the bus will continue to go until it gets to the stop you're located at. And then, of course, a new program we have is Harford Transit on Demand that we're rolling out slowly. That is for our demand response. Basically, that is the same type of app where seniors could be at home. They do get a courtesy call 15 minutes before the bus arrives, and that is done from our GPS locations where it'll automatically trigger the call. But you can actually log on to your phone, and it will recognize where you're at, and it will show you the bus coming to pick you up and give you the approximate time. Currently, we operate in a 14,000 square foot facility. Just to tell you, we're really crunched. We are about 36 employee parking spaces short. So we are very tight the way we operate. We have a 2-bus bay maintenance shop where we do have our own fleet maintenance people to take care of our vehicles. And we also have a bus wash. And of course, we currently have 56 employees. We are short right now around 5 transit drivers. Over there to the right with ridership statistics, you know, you can look back to 2018. 25 was our banner year. We just almost made 415,000 passengers on our fleet of buses. Along with those passengers, our vehicles actually drive 1.2 million miles a year within Harford County. And part of that reason for our increase was not only the bulk pass you see below, but our new software technology that we actually are able to carry around 10,000 more passengers on our demand response buses, because we were at capacity and we're at capacity again, but our new software, without spending any additional money, has allowed us to take 10,000 more people to like medical appointments and everything else. Going in the middle there, under transit history, of course in '73 is when transit began. 2001 is when we moved into our current location. And this year we just did our final TDP for the next 5 years. They just finalized it. And that has some new opportunities for us to upgrade. You know, one of the big things, and I'm sure someone will ask that question tonight, is Saturday service. You know, in our last TDP, which was back from, I guess it was like 2019 to 2024, the only item on that entire study we did not complete was Saturday service, and that was because the pandemic hit. And then, of course, if you look at the ridership statistics, where in 2019 we did just under 360,000 passengers, but during the pandemic year, it got to just under 120,000. So there was no need to do that at that time. You know, now it's like everything. Financials have a lot to do with that, and you got to get the money. For us to operate an extra day, it would be about $1 million a year in additional funding. All right? In Transit Future, we recently added 11 new vehicles. They replaced vehicles that were over 10 years old, had over 400,000 miles on. So we are certainly looking to save funding there in maintenance costs. And then we have 7 additional buses ordered that they will go on the assembly line in December of this year. And they will again replace 2013 buses that all have about 500,000 miles on them. Again, our maintenance costs are about $1.2 million a year. We believe with these upgrades of this 18 new vehicles or replacement vehicles, we probably should lower that by about $400,000 a year. We completed our study for the Bel Air Small Area Plan. Their recommendations include expanding service to the Walmart in Fallston and ShopRite into Forest Hill, and then of course microtransit in Bel Air. And then recently, last year, we were awarded the Areas of Persistent Poverty Grant Award, and that is currently going on. If you look at this other sheet, this one here, everyone has. This is our current microtransit study. Through the grant process, we were awarded funding to study both Aberdeen and Edgewood, and it has rolled into Joppa a little bit, on is microtransit feasible for these 2 particular areas. So microtransit, to eliminate the misconception, it is like a Uber type service. The cost would be no different than riding our current buses. However, it would be in a very tight area. So maybe a 5 or 6 square mile area. So what it would be, where if you would want to use microtransit and go to an appointment, let's just say you're in Edgewood and you want to go to a doctor appointment in Edgewood, it would be like an Uber. You go on your phone. The new software we purchased already has the software to do this type of service. You book an appointment. The vehicle would probably be there within 30 minutes to pick you up, take you to the doctor. As you're done, you call, you go back. It is not where it would pick you up in Edgewood and take you to a medical facility in Aberdeen. It's only for the surrounding area. So that's why we're looking at 3 different pockets to eventually do this. And part of this study is, will this become more efficient and more cost effective than what we're currently doing? Okay? So on the back side is the QR code, and the survey is still open. So anything you do new, as we all know, one of the big hiccups is funding. So the more people that participate and fill out the survey, it takes 5 or 10 minutes to do it. Very simple. A lot of it is check the box. I think there may be 2 areas where you have to write something in, but it's very important that we get as many responses as we can. So hopefully sometime into early next year, this should be completed. And then of course, then we can present it to the administration and see if we can come up with the funding to make it work. But this is something that in the transit industry, especially in public transit where you're involved with federal funding and everything, you have to do these types of studies to validate what you're going to do. So part of that is, even when we run our fixed route buses, as an example, they have to have so many passengers on the bus per mile. If it doesn't, we have to reevaluate and try and fix that, or that is what decides, you know, how far into a rural area do you go, if that makes sense. All right? And then the only other, that's really the only other thing I have. I want to take a minute and thank our great partnership with the 755 Alliance.
Yes.
You know, great partnership with them. You know, they certainly do a lot to help us and assist. You know, we have a great partnership with Bel Air, Aberdeen, Havre de Grace. You know, we're helping them do some bus shelters and stuff. And I talked about the biggest challenges, our Saturday service, you know, our current facility. You know, unfortunately, we applied for a grant this year. In the state of Maryland, there were 7 jurisdictions. So Harford County is one of 26 what's called locally operated transit systems. And through the years, we get to apply for what's called 5339 bus and bus facility grant funding. So we have been very successful with that in the past, and that's sort of how we have purchased some of our new vehicles. And we have even beaten out Prince George's County and Montgomery County, where we actually won awards they didn't, or we got awards with much more money than they did. Unfortunately, this year, 7 jurisdictions applied, including, it does not include the MTA also applied for funding, because we are a sub-recipient of them. Out of the 8 of us, only 1 jurisdiction got money, and that was Charles County for a facility. But that is because they have everything ready to go, including the ground, and it's what you sort of call a shovel-ready project. So they were awarded, but this is the second time we have requested this grant, and we got zippoed. So I'm not sure where that goes. We're certainly going to try again next year, and we'll keep trying until we get it. You know, but that is something that's very important to us.
Yes.
All right. So, yes.
I have a question. Do you run out at the proving ground?
We cannot go into the proving ground, so in the morning with our demand buses, we actually have to drop passengers off at the gate. Because if we have someone else on the bus, we can't go in. So we have our buses, and we can do this with our new software, where in the afternoon when they get picked up, we actually can plan it so that the bus gets to the proving ground empty, goes in and picks up. We take about 45 people a day, I think, into the proving grounds, 5 days a week. But we go and pick them up, but in the morning, we cannot go in, or our fixed buses cannot go into the proving grounds.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, ma'am.
2 questions. What age limit do you consider senior citizen?
It's 60 and over.
60 and over?
Correct.
Okay. And
Or if you have a disability, you also can apply for a reduced rate, which
Okay.
would give you the same rate.
And if you should show up at a Link bus stop, like on Route 40.
Yep.
Do they take cash, or do you have?
Yes,
to-
we take cash.
Okay, and it's got to be exact cash.
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
our drivers do not carry change or whatever.
Okay.
Correct, and it goes into a box, and then go from there. So the
Okay.
best buy is the token transit.
Okay, so if a person, general public, were to show up at the bus stop, at the Link's bus stop, do they just pay $3 cash? Or do
Well, they can't buy the bulk pass, no, they would just pay for the one trip.
What's the one trip cost then?
For a senior, it's $1.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, for a senior, it's 50 cents, and for a regular, it's $1.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right, so everything we do is, on our fixed route, it's $1 per trip. Seniors or disabled are half price.
Okay,
And then our demand response vehicles, that trip is $2 each way. However, if you go to a Harford County Senior Center, it is $1 each way.
okay, okay. And then if by chance you are a general public person and you're gonna be using 5 or 6 buses throughout the day, then of course the $3 token is the best bet.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
Or $1.50 if you're a senior
Right.
or,
If you're a
correct,
senior.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and it even works out better if you buy a weekly or a monthly, if you do the calculations.
yeah, I saw that down here, so a senior would probably, you know, if they use the bus frequently every day or whatever, would definitely probably do better with $25 one. Especially if they use it
Correct.
several times a day.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, it's used widely in the college. Yes, sir.
You're asking for a survey, which makes sense, but presuming you get a good service going, how long does it take before people catch on and the ridership builds?
You mean till we start it or till people actually catch on?
When people catch on? Seems to me that's the problem.
Yeah, well, I think in this case, looking at microtransit across the country, because, you know, that's why we get an outside consultant that has done similar projects in multiple states in the United States and even in the state of Maryland. And the history looks pretty good that maybe it takes 6 months to a year for people to catch on, you know, but we will certainly market it, you know, because even right now on all of our buses, along with our routing package, we also now have infotainment. So there is a television screen that on a fixed bus, it will tell you your next stop is so-and-so, you know, we're coming up to the next stop, it will tell you the next stop, it gives you the weather report, we're working with our advertising contractor to, you know, do advertising on there, but that's where we post all of our information. You know, I mean, there's even a trivial game that plays, you know, and people like it. So, you know, it's interesting with this technology, it has really enhanced our service. And even Wi-Fi, I think it's interesting that sometimes with Wi-Fi, if it's a student, like they're downloading something, they don't want to get off the bus, you know, and they say, well, they want the driver to wait, and we say, well, you gotta just keep going if you're gonna do there. But I think some of these things have really helped. And as far as our marketing, that has been a big improvement. You know, I say it took us from the old ages back into modern times. You know, even like at Edgewood, you know, unfortunately right now, a vehicle went over the bank and knocked out our screens there. You know, those screens are the same thing. When you walk up to that, and there's one at the Aberdeen train station, it will tell you all the next buses that are gonna arrive and a number of minutes it's gonna be till they get there.
What's your total annual budget, and what percentage of your budget is covered by actual fares?
Our budget is about 8.3 million a year, which includes capital. Fares for us is about 6%.
94% is coming from taxpayers,
Yes,
subsidized.
the bulk of it federal, some state, and then local. Right, so when we buy capital, capital, once it's approved, is actually 80% federal dollars, 10% state, and 10% county. The state, in their current situation, has this year, for 26 and 27 fiscal, reduced that to 5%, and they already told us in 28 it'll be, their portion will only be 2.5%. And through the years, they have also trickled down their operating portion. They used to be at 25%. Currently, I believe going into this year, we're like at 12.5% is state money. So it's federal, 50%, 12.5 state, and then the rest local. Yes, sir.
For the 5-day pass or the month pass, does it have to be consecutive days, or if I buy one December 1st, and I don't use all 30 days, is it good, like
No,
for
at
January?
the calendar date it ends.
But it's just 30 calendar day?
Yes.
Same thing with the 5-day pass?
Yeah, it's for like the
Monday
4
through
weeks
Friday.
of operating. Yeah.
So I can't use it Monday and Tuesday, and next week use it Monday and Tuesday?
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, you can use it Monday and Tuesday, every Monday and Tuesday for the entire month.
No,
I'm talking
no.
about like the 5-day, is that the same thing?
Oh, no, 5 days, 5 consecutive days. If you buy it on a Wednesday, it's good to the following Tuesday. If you buy it Monday, it's good to
Till
that Friday.
And
Okay.
it
Yeah, I'm
starts
sorry.
when you scan it on the bus the first time. That's the activation. So it's not from when you buy it. It's from
Right.
when you use
First,
it
yeah,
first.
first time.
You have 5 days or 30 days or whatever it may be.
Right,
Thank
and for a long time, especially for our demand senior clients, we were doing vouchers, but they expire every year. Token transit will never expire. That's the good thing. So even organizations that we deal with that buy hundreds of dollars worth of tickets, we are trying to push them to the token transit because at the end of the year, they're left with things and we don't redeem them.
No.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and in that vein, would you want to talk about like organizations that can use portals? Because I mean, I think that's one of the best things you guys have going.
Well, I'm not sure who in here that would, and.
People don't
not to
know, they can't
complicate-
use it.
Yeah, yeah, so if we have a case like in Adam's situation where he does the, cold weather situation. So with Adam, we have connected him with Token Transit and they have created a portal just for Adam, excuse me, similar to what we have with Harford Community College, and theirs is a big one because they use it a lot, where we set them up with Token Transit and they actually manage their own clients. So they log them in, the client logs in with their phone number attached to Harford Community College, and they're responsible for everything that goes on. And that's how they do, like they do a supplemental. So the student pays half and then the college pays the other half. But they actually, and it's good if we have like agencies out there. Let's just say there's an agency that sends someone to some kind of treatment. And what used to happen is we used to give that agency a pass. So as earlier, someone was talking about stealing the used oil at Wow, which is a commodity. Actually, these people would stand at our door of our bus and sell those to other clients. So Token prevents that because you bring it up on your phone, you scan it, and it's a done deal. But what's important is the person who holds that relationship with Token Transit, they can actually monitor by phone if the person they gave the passes to are using them. And then it also will tell them when they got on the bus and where they got off the bus.
Yeah, and one of the benefits for me is, I'm dealing with people who are experiencing homelessness, but somebody might need a ride from Havre de Grace to Bel Air, and I'm in Joppatowne, and they need it now. I can't help them, but what I can do is I can send a bus pass across the county, and they can get on a bus where they are and get to where they are, and you can just do that instantaneously. So it's a really great thing.
Yeah. The technology is good and it's not that hard to use. I mean, the people that are on it will never go off it, pretty much, and it has made a huge change in the number of people that ride our vehicles. So, all right, anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I had two questions.
Sure.
When you're looking into the Aberdeen, Edgewood, spots,
Micro.
the micros, will those, give people better access to the services that they need? Because I know a lot of different employees or different ones or going to the Epic Center, like there's no way for them to get from the Epic Center or here on 40 down to get or connect with homeless services down at the Breeze Center down by Nuttall Avenue, or to get from back down there by the MARC train station to the food pantry at the Epic Center on Tuesday, Thursday, or the one at 152 and 7. So those were some of the questions because the young lady is working tonight. Then my other question was, how is Harford Transit preparing to handle things for the bridge reconstruction? Because I heard people the other day talking about, well, when that happens, if they're commuters over to DC, that's going to affect the MARC train. So they were like, what am I supposed to do? One person was like, she's looking into that now because she's like, I might have to transfer or see if I can't get moved for a period of time to a Baltimore office from the DC headquarters. Are you all taking that into consideration?
Which bridge are you just talking about?
They're replacing
Because there's gonna be multiples.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Well, yeah,
Right.
they replaced those railroad bridges, it's gonna,
Right, so
Like
anything
instead-
over the track should not probably be affected. You know, like the one on Abingdon Road as an example. I know I've been in meetings for maybe a little over a year now with the Habit of Grace situation. You know, and if something affects the MARC train and the MTA, that would be the MTA's responsibility to get buses similar to, you know, the way the tour buses the commuter buses used to take people into Baltimore.
Right.
It would be their responsibility to handle those gaps. And they would probably contract that out to some carrier, similar to the way the commuter buses are. I forget who has the contract now, but that would be contracted out, and that would be their responsibility to cover that gap in service. As far as going back to your first question, and the map is not defined as of today, but as long as it's in that zone, if it's from one end of town to the other, the answer to your question is yes, it would be much more helpful for people, all right? But it has to do with that zone, and if they're departing and arriving in the zone, you know, if not, I mean, it would also be an easier way, because one of the things that a lot of people use microtransit for, as an example, is if you're in Edgewood or in Joppa, in the part of Joppa that this would cover, it would take you to the Edgewood Harbor Freight bus shelter, and then you can get on a fixed bus. And then that would only be one charge. So you would take the microtransit to the transfer center, which at Harbor Freight, you get on our fixed bus, you would get a transfer and just go. It wouldn't even cost you any more money. So it's never gonna be perfect, but we are looking to try and improve some of the gaps that we do have in service.
The stuff that you're talking about gets, I mean, I didn't even know that, so that's awesome. But one of the things that I have always wanted from Harford Transit, and I know it would cost money, and I know that that's a problem, but these warehouses that get out overnight, what would it take to get a bus to be able to provide transportation for people in the county who work the overnight shift and maybe don't have transportation to get there, or they get off at the overnight shift, either way?
That is a great question, and here's the answer I will give you. The problem is getting something to pick everybody up, you know, because when Rite Aid was in business, I met with them multiple times. The opportunity is, if you pick up 10 people, 2 go to Habit of Grace, 2 go to Aberdeen, 2 go to Bel Air, 2 go to Edgewood, maybe 2 more go to Joppa. That's what complicates the process. Because if you do that with one vehicle, that last person might as well just stay on the bus and sleep and then go right back to work the next day. It'll take that long, you know, and there is not a good answer for that. You know, the only thing I could say is that, you know, in 2019, when we made our big service adjustment, and back then, you know, prior to that change we made, someone in Joppa who wanted to go to the college, that would be a 3-hour trip. It's not perfect today, but it's 1 hour and 20 minutes. You know, they got to transfer, but it's between 1 hour 20 and 1.5 hours versus 3 hours. You know, so we understand those, and I understand what you're saying, and I truly wish I could stand here and give you an answer. But that is the problem. It's not picking up a group, it's dispersing them. Mm-hmm. You know, it's no different, like I said, we do 45 people in the proving grounds. Well, that takes like 5 buses to get them home. You know, because we go in, and then after we leave the proving grounds, on the way to wherever they're going, we pick up other passengers and then take them. You know, and that's a whole different system. At night, we don't have that luxury, you know, because it's almost an isolated service. So I wish there was something different, and trust me, you know, we look at, one of the things that I really appreciate about our new software that we're about a year into it, is for the first time ever, we not only can tell when someone gets on the bus, but now we know where someone gets off. Which is very important when we do our planning, and I'm gonna give you a great example that Adam gave about Magnolia, to pick up like a student after school or whatever. And I know we've had a discussion about that, but really now when we look at that situation and we're looking at how to adjust a route to make that happen, because if I could, we certainly would do it. But looking at that and reviewing the data we get now, and everything needs to be data driven, everything can be measured. So looking at it now, we were looking at, if we do this with this particular route, reroute it differently and bring it back to 40 a different way to loop around there, but then we negatively affect 60 people that the way the bus goes now and comes back up 40 till it gets from Redner's to where the bus would come back on 40, it affects 60 different people who get on our bus going northbound. And then what affects us is our system is very successful because every hour if you go to the Aberdeen train station, 5 of our buses are there. So it's really like going into a real bus terminal where 5 buses pull up, people get off one, get on the other, and it gives them the ability to get into Perryville, go to the VA, into Bel Air, or wherever they need to go. And we always got to be careful when we make adjustments that we do not affect that hub or even the one at Harbor Freight, because there's usually 2 or 3 there almost every hour. And if they're not there, they're on the other side of the street at Walgreens. And that's really what has made our operation successful and has really given people more opportunity to ride and get where they need to be. It's not easy, but we work hard at it. Yes.
I love the data-driven aspect of it, but the thing that I always wonder is it's very difficult to collect data for something that doesn't exist. If there was a wish list, like a 3 o'clock in the morning bus going to the warehouses or something like that, how would that get communicated to Harford Transit? Like if there were a group of people who worked at a warehouse and said, I wish I could take a bus from the warehouse to Aberdeen at 3 o'clock in the morning, how would that get communicated to you? And what would it take to get the funding for it? Is it only something that can be driven by grants, or are there other pots that we can look into for support for that?
We do not. It's our grant process, and I will tell you currently right now, we are in a very unique situation because we have it's called our own UZA. So that is an area where is defined by the federal government, and we're a subrecipient of the MTA. So when every jurisdiction, the 26 I spoke about earlier, every year we do our annual grant process. Everything goes to the MTA, including what we do. Everyone gets involved with the pot of money that the MTA gets from the feds. They have a formula that they use, and it's just changed, and for us it's good. That's why ridership is important, because ridership and population has come into play. However, Harford County is its own UZA. So we get a block of money that can't be touched. As an example, this particular year, FY26, there are other jurisdictions out there, depending on size, that lost between 500,000 and I think the highest loss for Montgomery County was like 5.6 million. Because the formula changed, the federal money diminished, and the MTA takes what they need to operate and then they disperse. But we are actually maximized, and the MTA can't touch our money. We got to get it through them, but our pocket is secure, which also covers some of our, we go into Perryville to the VA, we now go up to Great Wolf up in that area, and that is because of that UZA, but also Cecil County pays us 50% of the operating costs for that, because we help them too, because we are servicing an area they can't. And for us, it's been a great situation, because like Great Wolf had, a lot of people come in from other countries that, would work there, and we would transport them into Havre de Grace or wherever, and they spend money over here. So that was good, but it's a very difficult dilemma. I mean, the thing is, we do public hearings every year. Participation is slim to none. We advertise it. Things like this, I'm not sure is this open to the public. That's why the survey is just critical. Because when we do these things, even things like this go into our existing grant process, and the more people you have talking, the chances, not that they're a home run, but it gets closer. It's just like our funding. Every year we would ask for more and more and more and more. I knew eventually they were going to say no, but we maximized everything we could get. So we maximize every dollar we can get. And that is really the big, opportunity. But I will say our new software has made us much more efficient. you know, all the money we save, we're reinvesting for improved service and stuff, so I think it's, you know, it's all good. I mean, and, you know, one of the things I'm probably most proud of that we've accomplished a lot over the years, but recently we started for senior living homes, where we, on a Tuesday and Thursday, we offer group trips. So example, we now take people to the casino, we take people to Bob Evans, and the only reason we can do that now is because with our new software, it's become so efficient on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because Monday, Wednesday, Friday is dialysis days. Tuesdays and Thursday now we have capacity. So we are filling that capacity and trying to get some of these people out of these senior homes that have not gone outside for probably a long time, some of them. And it has been a great experience for them. And they are so happy and so excited, you know, and the most we take, I think our biggest trip so far was we took like 21 people to go to the casino. They love to go to the casino, but it gets them out. We pick them up about 9:30, we drop them off 10, a little after, we pick them up at 12:30, 1 o'clock and bring them back. It's a perfect match.
Yes, Mr. Curtis, I just wanted to ask, like, to Adam's point and the community. So I remember a few years back, we were able to borrow the Link bus to take a bunch of kids from Edgewood up to Harford Community College for basketball tournament fun activity. Now to that was amazing, and I know you all had to pay the bus drivers for that evening, even though it was free to the community. So what I want to ask is, if Sephora and Chesapeake Spice and those along that Bell Camp area, if they had a conversation as employers with you as a Link bus, and they said, okay, these are the hours that we demand, not demand, of high demand for our employees to come to work and get off, and they had a financial solution to kind of help you, would that be an option? Excuse me, because right now a lot of people don't have jobs and we're looking for jobs, but transportation is a big key. So if that meeting was magically arranged, where they talked amongst themselves and had a solution for you, would that be something to
So
consider?
it is your lucky day, although I'm not gonna have the solution you like. Make sure you get a hold of me and I will connect you with our rideshare coordinator, Ryan Kavinsky, because there is a van pool scenario
Yes.
that if the company gets involved and they help fund that van, they actually can do it with their own employees.
Wonderful.
So back before the pandemic, in the proving grounds, I think we had 11 or 12 of those van type operations that were going. Once the pandemic hit, it all stopped, and they are trying to recirculate that program. But that would be a viable answer, especially if the, the employer wants to contribute.
Yes.
Because that is the answer to the solution, and they are 12-passenger vans. And usually what they do is park them at a park and ride or a central location. One and a backup driver of the employee would be assigned by the employer, and then they just do their thing. And that has worked in the past. But I think you have my email, and I'll give you a card before I leave.
Okay.
I'll get you hooked up. Yes.
And then last question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
know you
okay.
hold
You're
the time.
good. Thank you.
Just as an example, I've never really looked at one of these maps, and like if a person was to pick up a Lynx bus, say on Route 40 in Edgewood, the gray line, I guess, that would be Route 3 line, and they wanted to go to the Festival of Bel Air, they would have to take two buses, and that would be.
Just one, the 3 to the 2. They would get on the Route 3 and then go to the Route 2, which goes up towards Bel Air.
Okay, would they have to transfer a bus?
Yeah, they would transfer from one bus to another. So that's what I talked about earlier, like at Harbor Freight, where the buses get there. So the Route 3 would get there, they could get off that bus, get on the 2, because they're both there at the same time. They'll get a transfer slip, no additional charge, and they go to the festival.
Okay, so that would just enable that person would be on 2 separate buses, but they would get to their destination, and then on the way back it would be the same thing.
In reverse, correct.
Reverse.
Yep.
Okay, I was just wondering then, like, if they wanted to go to Walmart, it looks like it would be a total of 4 different buses.
No. Going to Walmart in Aberdeen,
Yes.
it'd be one bus. The Route 3, they could get off right there at the Walmart.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't realize it because
It goes right by there.
turns Okay, cause it kinda turned like red, blue, and yellow.
I think they're all together, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
You know, and just to let you know how effective the transfer points are, at the Aberdeen train station at our peak, 8,000 people a month get on our buses there, off and on.
That's awesome. Gary,
Okay.
thank you so much.
No, thank you.
A lot of
I appreciate it. Anytime you want me back, I'll gladly come back.
Just
All
for
right.
perspective,
Thank you,
for every
guys.
dollar he collects, he should be collecting $16.50. So think about that. Your tax money's paying the other $15.50. So celebrate that service and use it.
It's the best
You're
bargain
paying
in
for it.
town.
You're paying for it.
Thank you, guys.
You're up next.
Good evening, I'm Cynthia Williams from Harford Transit. We have a meeting tomorrow, and the public hearing will be at 6:30, and then the legislative session at 7:30. And then on Wednesday, December 3rd, we have the adequate public facilities meeting. And I want to tell you about what the adequate public facilities is about. It's a local law that controls the growth by requiring completion of infrastructure, which is your roads, sanitary, storm sewers, water lines and schools before or at the same time as new private development that is made that will need these services. And the committee is made up of a county council member, the superintendent of schools or a designee, a representative from the Department of Planning and Zoning, a representative from the Harford County PTAs, the county executive or his representative, and a member of the Harford County Board of Education.
Thank you, Cynthia. All right, Robert, you're up.
Good job. Thank you.
Well, folks, it's good to see you all again. Can't believe we're this close to Christmas, but we certainly are, this being December 1st. And with that, Bob Castley sends his greetings and wishes everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in 2026. There are going to be a lot of volunteer opportunities this holiday season. Certainly check the county website for the list of volunteer opportunities that are out there. And also the Wreaths Across America, he would encourage everybody to go take a look at that. The wreath donations are down this year, and to donate locally, there's a link to click on the county website and the newsletter. So if you would go there, if you want to volunteer or give money. Toys for Tots, the collection drive is again this year run by the U.S. Marines. There's boxes at different buildings for the county, especially at 220 South Main Street, the county administrative office. The emergency whole blood program is saving lives here in the county. That's something that they started very recently, and it's been a very good tool for the emergency responders to use. Abington Water Treatment Plant has won some awards. Apparently the water that they're producing out of the Abington Treatment Plant is highly pristine and very desirable. Christmas tree safety, Ron, I guess you're gonna cover something on that, so I'll skip over that one. So Winter Wonderland, we have that coming up, which is going to be held at the Edgewood Senior Activity Center. I think there's flyers back in the back. There's also a palm card back there from the administration, if you would pick it up with a QR code on it. There are two projects that are going on that I've gotten some questions about lately. One is the Joppatowne Water Treatment Plant improvements. They're right now soliciting bids from qualified contractors. The work is expected to start somewhere after March of 2026 and will take about 13 months. That plant was built I can't see it here, but it'll increase the capacity on that plant. It's much needed for the community there in Joppatowne. Many of you have seen on Brookside Drive the sewer main lining project and asked what it was all about. There's two things going on there. One is that sewer main lining project, which is going to be a lining of the sewer lines that gives it another 50, 60 years of life. The other thing that's going on Brookside, where you see by Lake Serene that the area that's cleared off and fenced off, it's a stream restoration project that actually goes from the top there at Gateway all the way down to Watergate, down in the bottom area. So there's a lot of work going on there to upgrade the stream and make it a much more better environmental source. I know that you had asked earlier about some things. The pier closest to the buoy at Mariner, from my understanding, all those piers are being worked on right now. The buoy, we're trying to get that painting done in the near future. It'll be springtime now, but we do recognize the fact that's going to be a $21,000 project. Update for Foster Branch project, the public input, you mentioned that last time I was here, and there will be a time for public input on that park and the whole project. Not right now, but it's coming up in the future, probably by spring or early summer. Desire hazardous waste disposal day in the lower area here. That's under consideration by DPW. They're looking at what it would cost to be able to run some kind of a hazardous waste disposal here for everybody here, since Scarborough landfill is so far away. Street lights on Trimble Road, that's a far fetched goal to get. That's going to be a very expensive project. Now, certainly, if grants become available that we could utilize them, we would. But right now, that's not going to be on the radar. And I think I was asked about the street lights that were coming into the county. There was, I think it was 250 additional lights being brought in. That's not fully determined exactly where they're going to go. So I don't want anybody here to get the misconception that all the street lights and the upgrades that we're getting are going to be in this area. They're going to be stretched out across, but certainly we'll get as many here as we can get. Anyone else have any problems or any questions or anything you want to bring up tonight? Dion?
First, you talked about the connection there at Copenhagen Park, you know, for that water plant there.
Right.
I understand the regionally reserve is all connected into that plant. Is that causing a problem, additional problem because of all these 300 some houses that are going to be coming down? Because that whole thing comes down, the water lines come down
Right.
alongside of the football field, across the front of the football field, and connecting to that.
There was upgrades done there some time back before that started, wasn't there?
It was, but I'm saying, is that part of the problem now, is because originally
No.
is getting,
No,
The
it's
one
not.
you're talking about is the one by Redner's.
Right. Yeah, the one I was talking about was the one up at Redner's by Rumsey Island.
okay,
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
all right, gotcha.
A different question on Ridgely's Reserve. I see you're looking at dredging, Foster Branch.
Right.
But we still haven't stopped the sediment flow in Foster Branch. So
Right.
it seems to me we're gonna be double or triple spending and taking money out of Parks and Rec to do it, which should come out of DPW.
Most of that is actually, that dredging money is actually dependent upon,
Half and half.
well, yeah, but there's also, it was a waterways project that, was it, what's the amount? I saw it just a few minutes ago. But yeah, it's, Ridgely's Reserve, I hate to say it this way, the dredging project isn't because of Ridgely's Reserve. It was done on a cyclical timetable. It's been done, I was told, it's been done multiple times in the last 20, 25 years. So it was gonna be done regardless of Ridgely's Reserve or not. I guess I would caution you to, we all know the silt and all has gone in there and caused problems. But the dredging project that will be coming up isn't because of Ridgely's Reserve, if that makes sense.
Are we on the current cycle? It used to be 10 years.
This cycle was already planned before Ridgely's Reserve, yes.
But the last one was not 10 years ago, correct?
Don't have it in front of me as to what date that was.
I'm on that dredging, because I got the map, I got all the.
Yeah, I got the map here too.
Yes, I circulated to everybody. But I'm glad to see that they're going, it looks like they're going at least 100 yards out past railroad bridge, which concerned me because the last time they only went from the bridge in. That's gonna help a lot because I know when I came in there a couple times this year, 3.5 to 4 feet of water I'm looking at, on my depth finder. And I draw 3.5 feet, so I'm digging all the way, so it's really important. But my concern about, I've got 18 pages of all the dredging and all, and I went over all of it, and also got the paperwork, got that today on the other part, the Foster Branch Park. Looking all through all that paperwork, I don't see where it says anything about the depth that they're going to dredge. And that's probably the most important thing, because they normally have, over the years, and I've lived there 60 years, and I lived on the water there for 50 of them. So they usually dredge 6 feet, which was normally okay. But though you kind of tone down Ridgely Reserve is really caused us humongous problems, as you know, this year and the last couple of years. And so I'm concerned about what is the depth of on the dredge, because I think what they should be doing, instead of the normal 6 feet, they ought to go. I talked to Terry Hanley about that today, so I put that bug in his ear. We ought to be talking about 8 feet, maybe 10, but we're not gonna never get 10. But we ought to go a couple more feet, because, and if we don't, then we're gonna be dredging sooner, and it's just gonna cost us more money. So, they're supposed to start, I think they're a little bit behind schedule, but
They are a little.
I'm checking out the window every day, because I live on the water. I haven't seen
Right.
anything taking place yet, so it's important to find out exactly the depth. And if they're only talking 6 feet, I think we gotta find a way to increase it a couple more feet, because of Ridgely. So we won't have to dredge this, we can stay out 10 years.
Right.
But I think that,
I'll see if I can find something on that.
and it's still coming down. I mean, when we have rain and all, the mud is still coming down, just like he says, we're still having issues, in the channel.
Right. Ralph?
Yeah, just a quick one, Rob. I've talked to the county before, but it doesn't seem like anything really has happened. There are 3 spots as you come up Route 40 coming out of Joppatowne, off the Joppa Farm Road. When you make the right as you first start to come up the hill, there is, I thought it was a fire hydrant leaking, but they tell me that there's an underground spring there. And that spring leads over into the road and creates an iceberg, a slick, that as you're trying to come up that hill and merge into traffic, it creates a very dangerous situation. There's also one as you go into the parking lot at Rita's, at that ice cream place, that constantly that parking lot has water bubbling up underneath of it. And then just beyond that, you'll always see, even when we have a huge drought coming here tonight, there's a pond in the on the shoulder of Route 40 where there's another spring that comes up. It seems to me that they should be somehow a pipe underground that would capture that water and feed it back into the sewer system, at least to keep it off the road surface, to keep the road safe. I get it's a spring, you can't stop it, but
Right.
it seems like we could contain it somehow and channel it to somewhere less, less risky.
Where was the third one?
The third one is, I think it's just past the Rita's,
Okay.
as you get toward the, what is that, Sheets on the right?
Yeah, Sheets is on the right.
Yeah, there's always a huge pool of water there.
Okay.
There's a dip too, so that's.
Yeah, it collects there because of the dip, right? It stops it. But
Okay.
anyway,
Okay.
just wanted to, something needs
Okay.
to be done there.
All right.
You plant willow trees and have them suck up the water?
Maybe.
Last question, go ahead. Go ahead.
You were going back to the grants. You were saying that you all were having trouble or you couldn't get the grants. But I had passed several grants along to Jonathan for the Southern County Task Force, and T-Mobile said, y'all never applied. They do that grant program, they award those $50,000 grants 4 times a year, and they were like, no, neither the person that you gave us or Harford County has not applied. So as citizens, what are we supposed to do if we try and give resources or provide things, and if you're not gonna apply, then we're wasting our time?
What were they for?
T-Mobile's is, they do grants to small towns. Jonathan said we met their size requirement in terms of population of people, therefore technology upgrades. So like if you want to do Wi-Fi, or there used to be discussions in here when I first started coming about getting the pavilions and stuff with lights and electrical and all of the pavilions at Mariner Park or whatever. You were just talking about lights, helping communities change over to more energy efficient lights and things of that nature. But yet you're saying you can't get grants, and they take grant applications 4 times a year. Nobody applied. So how are we ever gonna get anything if nobody's gonna apply or put the time in?
The grant, as you know, the grants are specific, and usually when you're reading through one, trying to get one that will accommodate what you're after or want to achieve, somewhere in there's gonna be a piece that you read and you go, that's the part that doesn't let it go forward. So I don't remember, I remember seeing the T-Mobile grants, and I don't remember why we didn't do anything with them, but there was a reason in there. There's usually something that makes it go off the rails, that it won't fit what you want. And I don't recall what it was, because that's been a while back.
Well, what about the youth
Look at it
grant
together, man.
from the Foot Locker Foundation? Because that's another one, and talking about things for the youth and the skate park and all of that. The Foot Locker Foundation, they owe to $1 million grant. My college classmate was the director of the board looking at the daggone grant applications. He was like, your person didn't apply. What happened? I got one from your nonprofit, but your person in Harford County didn't apply. I mean, how can we look out and help the community and nobody's gonna follow through?
We are looking at grants and grant opportunities. Don't think just because 1 or 2 went by, we didn't look at some others. We're looking at grant opportunities for where they fit. That's where we're at on this one.
A lot of them, you have to be very specific as to what it's used for. It doesn't
Yeah, I
fit
know, I took a grant writing
within that
program.
parameter.
I done
All
worked
right,
grant.
thank you
get
guys
six
very
fig-
much.
six
Appreciate
figure
it. Have a Merry
grant.
Christmas.
Thank you, Ron, you up.
And I work for the IRS, so I know how all of this goes with grant funding and looping it in with the 501c3 and all that stuff. I got an A in tax law when I was working for the IRS. I know how it goes.
Okay, good evening. Thank you all. And just one thing, I want to give an update on Jim, and I've got his permission to do this. Jim is in rehab right now in Sterling Healthcare on McPhail Road in Bel Air. He's in room 114A, for those of you that want to know. I think it'd be nice if you want to send him a card or something, or stop in. He's going to be there for quite a while. Okay, he's having trouble with his legs and getting his legs moving by himself. He needs help getting up and getting down. I talk to him every night. And he's in good spirits. You know, some days are better than others, as it is, you know, while you're in rehab. So just keep him in your prayers while you're going. Again, it's 410 East McPhail Road in Bel Air, 21014. And he's in room 114A. And I think he'd appreciate some information. No, hearing from some of the people there, because I know he misses not when to come here. Like I said.
Can you give us his name, please?
Pardon me?
Can you give us his name?
Jim.
Oh, Jim
Uh-huh,
Lyons, Lyons, the
thank
third.
you.
I'm sorry.
You said room 120?
Fail.
Room 114, A is an Adam.
Has he got a cell phone with him?
Pardon me?
Does he have a cell phone with him?
He does.
Because I got the
yeah.
number.
I'm gonna give you the number at the nursing home there, or the home there, because he'll get collected to his bed better. His phone dies a lot. It's 410-838-7810. And you guys want to buy name, we asked for his room 114A. So there. Okay, back to my report. Of course, this is the end of the year. We've all been talking about smoking all year. This is quiz time. No. I want to see if you remember what we talked about in January. Anybody remember? Okay.
In January of last year?
This year. No, okay. If you remember, I handed out these charts. This is a thing that we hand out every year. Just tells you for fire safety, different things to look at each month while you're there. The brochures I put in the back tonight were for specifically, if you haven't heard yet or live under a rock, we're getting some winter weather overnight, tonight, tomorrow. Schools are already delayed 2 hours. But this is the newest brochure from FEMA and from the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, for the freeze and winter holidays. And it's back there. Almost half the house fires we respond to, December and January. Besides kitchen fires, the number one cause of fires, candles. Everybody likes the scented candles this time of year. Be very careful, don't leave it unattended. Hanukkah and stuff, some people are still using real candles like myself. Instead of electric candles, so just be careful, watch them, put them in place.
Never leave the house while they're burning stuff.
Yeah, never leave the house when anything's burning on the stove. You're putting out holiday lights, if you haven't put them out already, check the cords, make sure they're not frayed or old. I say that, I looked at mine, I had a spotlight out last year that I had that changes colors. And I looked at the cord, I didn't notice it last year, it was chewed through. So apparently the squirrels and stuff had a feast on my electric cord last winter. There's another one here on winter fires for safety for the home. It's back there, like brochure and a keeping thing there. But of course, you don't want kerosene heaters aren't allowed in homes here in Harford County. But we do have wood stoves and fireplaces. Again, I keep this. I hand this out all year long about disposing of coal. The fires have started. But you're not disposing of the burnt wood or the coals properly from your pellet stove or your wood fires or wood stove or from your fireplaces. Make sure that you put them outside, put them in an area where they will not catch anything, the vegetation or anything like that. And a bucket of wood is a good thing to dump coals or your burnt wood if you're not going to leave it in the fireplace. I leave it there and I stay there until basically it's out and it smolders and it's down to ashes to clean it out. The other thing we got here is carbon monoxide safety. Again, we're getting at least 10 calls a week right now, as of the last couple weeks, for carbon monoxide detectors going off. Most of the time, the batteries are dead or they didn't change the battery when they should have. Okay, on most of these calls. If you're burning anything in your house, that's a fossil fuel. You got a gas stove, gas fireplace, wood stove, wood fireplace, pellet stove, candles. You should have a carbon monoxide detector in your home. Okay, we're getting a lot of calls for them, thank goodness, and most of them are not serious at this time, but we have to check them out. And again, winter holidays, it's time, it's to have fun, be safe, be careful in decorating. I would have had a video tonight on my laptop, but I can't get it in here, but it's basically Dan Doofus. It's a cartoon thing, but it's put out by the National Fire Protection Association. And as a cartoon character, don't be like Dan Doofus. So he's sitting there with the space heater on, and he decides to throw his coat over top of the space heater. Obviously, it's going to catch fire. He puts it somewhere else. You're in bed at night, don't leave your space sweepers on at night. When you go to sleep, turn them off. He left it on, bed catches fire, type of thing. And again, it's comedy, but that's what draws attention. People look at that. Okay, so it talks a little bit about that. You probably find Dan Doofus if you Google it, and it'll show you. It's about a 1-minute video and stuff like that. As far as local fires, put my cheaters on now that I have my eyes fixed. November 20th, we had a big fire on Prospect Mill Road. Over $1 million worth of damage, a 2-story home. Smoke alarm did save lives. The problem that they had fighting it, and it took so long to put it out because it was on an incline. It was hard to get hose and to get water up to the building. They believe it started in a bedroom. It's still under investigation. There's no particular cause of that one yet either. We did have one in Joppatowne November 17th on Garnett. That was about $450,000 worth of damage. It started in the bedroom. They're still investigating as to why that happened. There's a possibility it was a short one of the electrical cords on that one. And the other one of note was actually back in October. Was up in Chargeville, $100,000 damage. A vehicle in a garage. It was not an electric vehicle, but what happened was the owner attempted to put the fire out. You saw the fire happening. His arms went off. he tried to put out with a fire extinguisher, which really didn't help any, and it spread even more, okay? If you don't know how to use a fire extinguisher, this is the problem. Again, you know, we tell you, if it's bigger than a trash can, call the fire department, let them handle it. If the trash can are smaller, you can put it out, fine. But still call us anyway to make sure there's no extension. We did have one yesterday, which I haven't seen the report yet, but the fire started actually in the walls. There was actually no fire visible as such, but the smoke alarm started going off. The fire was in the ceiling. Somehow it developed in the wall. Okay, and it's still an investigation exactly how it was. More than likely it was a short, you know, in a cord or something like that. And all I can say is, you know, be safe this holiday season. Be very careful out there. Watch yourself outside. Okay, all of us in here may have a little bit of problem walking sometimes, me included. You know, be careful with those ice. If there's a black ice out there, you know, stuff you can't see, or you don't think it's ice. That's how I broke my arm several years ago. I went out on steps, and I stepped on the mat thinking the mat was safe. The mat was iced over. I didn't know. I went right on down. Thank God it was only a couple of steps. But I mean, really, you got to be careful. Watch what you're doing. Watch out for your neighbors. Check on your neighbors, okay? Especially with the storm coming in, we don't know what it's going to do. All I can tell you is it's supposed to start sometime at 3 a.m. and it'll be in probably around noon, 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, or maybe in some place it might go on until about 6 tomorrow night. So be very careful out there. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, whatever you're celebrating. Just be safe, and I hope to see everyone back here in January.
Thank you, Lonnie. Get up.
Don't.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing okay. I'm a little under the weather. So I just wanted to give you a couple updates. On November 5th, we had the Consolidated Transportation meeting with MDOT being there and presenting to the delegation. Afterwards, I did speak to Claudine, who's now my new contact, about what's going on in our community, and because I had some questions from Ralph, one from Jeff, one from Bangdom, and so pretty much they answered that there was confirmation on the sidewalk project to begin, so that's in the budget and should be happening. They were reviewing the site again, as the last I've spoken to them. I did speak to them, Ralph, about the stormwater drains on 40 coming from, I just told them to go from the beginning of Joppa up to Luck, because
Right.
you were unable to kind of give me, and I said you might as well check them all. And they said that was one of the things they can start on.
They
and
did. They
just-
fixed the one at
Yep.
Redner's, right outside the parking lot. I went there tonight and took a picture of it, and I was gonna show you the repairs are actually happening.
Good.
So good for them. Good job.
Okay. And then the last one, this might be a little more complicated. Jeff brought up Route 7, Joppa Farm, and Alexis Drive. However, unfortunately, that next day after that meeting was when that deadly crash occurred. And I sent them a copy of that article and said, can we do something? Might not be the roundabout just right now, but even if it's a 4-way stop, something. So I did ask for that. They are looking into it. But it's obvious that we need something to slow down the traffic in that area. We did talk about the roundabout. It's kind of tight, so they're trying to figure out how they can make that work. It is an awkward intersection. So she will keep me posted on that as well. Based on Gloria's comment with the solar, I met with Lauren Barchi from Chaberton, and they're the ones doing the project in Joppa, the Project Peters. And she said she's willing to have another public meeting for anyone. She also mentioned she's willing to come speak at the cab if you wanted her to, as well. She did say that this project is going to be a state project, and it's based on the size. So what I've learned is if there's 2 megawatts and below, it's a county project. If it's above, it's a state project. Regardless, apparently the companies do not need to notify any of the neighbors about what is going on. So their company happens to do that. I'm working on something as it relates to the council to kind of make it that notification is necessary, because I think everyone needs to know, if the neighbor signed on for this, that it's happening in their backyard. The good thing she did explain to us is that they do a lot of what I say aesthetically pleasing, where they put a lot of bushes and trees and other things to surround it, so you really don't see it as much as you would think, but still, you need to know it's going on. And she's willing again to have another community meeting. She did say the state, if it's going to the state, it's mandated that they do a community meeting, one virtual and one in person. I did get outreach about the yard waste site. A couple people asked. I did get a response that they're selecting a consultant to provide the design and engineering services for the construction. And I didn't realize that was the same site was gonna include a dog park, similar to Colgate Road. So that is still happening, that is budgeted for, and they'll continue to give me more details as things are scheduled after the consultant is on board. As it relates to Amtrak, the Bush and Gunpowder River Bridge replacement projects, they've already submitted their navigation study to the Coast Guard for the review. They've submitted the planning alternatives report to FRA for their review. So while they're waiting to hear from both agencies, they're preparing to commence the preliminary design phase, including the National Environmental Policy Act in late winter, early spring of 2026, and then they will provide project updates and public involvement notices as they progress through the project. And then, I think this was based on Adam. I spoke to Lauren Levy of the health department, the health officer. We talked about healthcare services in our area, in our communities, because we're lacking even really having a patient first, but also being able to access healthcare. We talked about mobile services. She works with West Cecil, and West Health Cecil has a mobile bus that they are planning on, already in negotiations of bringing that bus to Harford County. We're not sure where it's gonna go. It looks like it most likely will be stationed at the health department, but again, being able to come out into the community. We did talk about her sending out a survey to the community to figure out what needs, what are the issues, what are the health concerns that they need to get to, that doesn't involve going to the ER and other places. I've talked to Raj. We're looking at, he's still looking at a patient first or one of those things for possibly the Rite Aid in Edgewood, because CVS will not take it over. And so we're trying very hard to find either a ma and pa pharmacy, which I think would personally be needed, considering I've seen the flow when Rite Aid was there, but it's still a work in progress. So we'll keep those conversations going, and I'll keep you all abreast of what's going on with the community health needs and how we can get more services in each Joppa and Edgewood. Tomorrow there is a public hearing on a bill I'm sponsoring for the animal shelter bill, which is basically the main purpose is to allow nonprofits to be able to offer low-cost spay and neuter along with vaccinations to the public. And this enables them as a humane society and any other non-profit vet providers to be able to establish grants in order to provide this low-cost rate and fee for these services. And finally, thanks to Melissa spearheading on Facebook, I jumped on her bandwagon and got the sheriff's office so we can have our first tree lighting in Edgewood in 10 years. And so we're excited. We're gonna have hot chocolate and music. I'll let her tell everything. We get the tree this week and we're gonna figure out where we're putting it, but one of the things was to put it here so that everyone can see it driving up Route 40 as well and get that experience.
Plus you know it's safe.
Plus we do know it's safe. So yeah, so the sheriff has kindly let us use the land in order to do that, and is also assisting us when we have the event that night as well. So I wish you all a happy holiday and hope you stay safe. And
There's an online question. Mike Perone says that the dreaded Weekender newspaper has returned. These newspaper litter our community. Can throwing these unsolicited papers onto driveways and onto streets be considered littering?
yeah, that's a good question, because I came home and I was like, I don't get the paper. What is this? All of a sudden, I noticed the whole community had them, and I thought that was odd. But I'll look into that because I didn't know where that came from.
I hate them. They got stopped. We stopped them for a while.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they've
it
unmagically
was
just
just
started
weird.
to appear.
Yeah.
On the windiest day of the year, the guys just
And I
chucking
think it
them
was
out
raining
of the car.
too.
I just pick them up and throw
That
them
little
in the trash.
weekender thing.
Oh,
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He must be getting paid by the throw.
Yeah, I've never on my street, they only put them on my side of the street, the people on their side of the street, and it came in my yard. And actually, I liked it because it gave me all of the supermarkets, circulars.
Little circulars.
So, I thought, gee, they finally gave, maybe just because it was close to the holidays, because I haven't gotten it for like a year or two.
I thought that too because it came right around Thanksgiving. I thought it was like trying to do holiday sales, but yeah.
And then somebody else asked if you knew anything about the Richland Ballroom.
Yes, it is apparently up and running. It's the same owner of the hotel, the Dunkin' Donuts. I think that's all he owns, the hotel, Dunkin' Donuts, and the Richland Ballroom. So it is reopened up for catering events. I forgot, I thought there's a name attached to it.
There is a name attached to it.
But off the top of my head, yeah.
What is it? Omi.
Omi? Okay.
I thought there was something else, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
the
that's.
name of it? The
the
Royal,
Oh.
Royal Palace.
Yeah,
the
Royal
Royal,
Palace.
thank you, Royal
I
Palace.
said the contact person.
I was like,
Royal Palace.
yeah, so it is open. They were doing some weddings before it made its grand opening. I knew that, but I couldn't figure out if he was opening it. So
Good, I'm glad to hear it.
Is that just the ballroom or the motel itself?
he already has the motel. The
That's
Ramada's already
That is
Just the
open?
Richland.
The Richland Ballroom was closed overnight one day, and then now it's reopened, which was a great place because there were lots of conferences, lots of events happening there for the community as
It's so
well.
convenient,
And it was
but,
convenient
yeah.
right off being 95. So
Excellent. All right, thank you, Yolanda.
happy holidays.
Alright guys, good evening. I apologize for being tardy. I was trying to be two places at once. So a lot of my stuff is repeating from Nolanda's updates. Tomorrow we are having a public hearing in regards to Bill 25-016, which would change the term of shelter in Harford County, which would open up the opportunity for different shelters and rescues to be able to hire veterinarians to do low-cost spay and neutering for their animals. So this is primarily targeting rescue animals, dogs or cats in the shelter, and be open to community members who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford these services. So a very specific niche, but we're hoping that this will open up a lot of funding resources for a lot of our shelters and rescues. November was a busy month. I was able to attend the Charlie Riley Scholarship Awards. November 13th, the correctional officers graduated for Harford County Sheriff's Office. And then on November 21st, Nolanda and I were able to be panelists for the IUE Symposium. When the health department was here, we talked a little bit about that. It was a remarkable night. There was over 150 middle and high school girls. It was so loud, but it was fantastic. And it was a great opportunity. There were girls that were in the back who we thought were BFFs for life. They had just met that night. So it's a really great event. We're looking forward to being able to do it again next year. Upcoming events, this coming Thursday, we have several graduates from the Harford County Sheriff's Office Cadet Program. As shared earlier, there's the Inclusive Winter Wonderland December 13th at Edgewood Senior Center. The same day is Joppatowne Recs Council's Winterfest at Mariner Point Park. If you guys are willing to venture out a little bit, December 14th, Santa is coming to Jerusalem Mill. This coming Thursday through Sunday, the Boomy Temple in Rosedale is doing their Festival of Trees. For those of you who don't know, the Shriners are who puts it on, and they do a lot of really remarkable give back work to the community. So this is an opportunity for us to support them and kind of get the holiday spirit as well. This Saturday is the Highland Tractor Parade up north. Sunday is the Bel Air Christmas Parade and tree lighting. And then if you guys are in Bel Air, Mount Arrett Masonic Lodge is where they have the big train garden this year. And then, as shared earlier, there is a 2-hour school delay for tomorrow, and we will know by 6:30 tomorrow morning if schools are closed. So please be safe. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
In your newsletter,
Yes.
I got via email and I couldn't find it in the email and I can't find it on paper. The traffic safety update on 152. I'm assuming that's at the Route 1 intersection?
It is all the way up 152.
So the specific left-hand turn lane, southbound, all of them? Okay.
So they did a traffic study because we reported all of the backups for 152, literally coming from 95 all the way up to Crossroads. And while there's definitely some turn lanes that are of more concern than others, the fact that it was taking almost 40 minutes to get from 95 up to Crossroads is kind of insane. And they determined that the primary issue was there wasn't a long enough left turn lane, which was blocking everybody up, all the way up. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Allison. Is there anybody here from Andre's office?
Good evening, all. It's my first time joining tonight, so my name is Dr. Hans Cooper. I'm Delegate Johnson's Chief of Staff.
Oh, okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Similar, Delegate Johnson was trying to be two places at once. Didn't work out too well today. Tonight is the Harford delegation's meeting, so he had to attend that. So I decided to come to share updates with the community.
Okay.
In general, we are gearing up heavy for the legislative session that's coming up in the new year. The session starts approximately January 14th, runs its way through April. So I just wanted to come today to kind of give a few of the community legislative priorities that Delegate Johnson will focus on this year. This is not an exhaustive list, as you will, but more so, we typically keep track of all of the constituent concerns, emails that come in. We've tracked over 1,000 different over the past year, so some of this legislative priorities reflect those concerns that came in. First and foremost on the list is utility regulation reform. If you're aware, last year we did a lot of bill work in that area. There are several regulations that need to be looked upon. For example, last year we discovered that Constellation Group was, what's the best way to say it, camouflaging some of the fees, administrative costs that we pay every day, every month in our bills, such as we were paying for things like their private jets, things of that nature that was kind of buried into our regular fees. So those are kind of regulatory issues that we're trying to suss out for consumer protections. Along the same lines of consumer protection, we're facing hard economic times. It's not unusual for individuals to utilize some of those third-party services to kind of give you money up front, right? They'll know you have a job and say like, hey, we can give you quick cash immediately. Those are very much predatory services. And so we are working with several delegates throughout the region to craft bills to kind of crack down on those kind of predatory services, especially amongst the most vulnerable in our community, low income, the elderly, etc. You'd be amazed at how many constituent concerns we get around that area. So that's a legislative focus
The
for us.
interest on it's unbelievable too. Once
Say it
you
again?
catch it, the interest that they charge you.
Exactly. It's almost the Wild West, and it's not something that a lot of folks are focused on. So that's been a legislative priority for us. The next one has been around the area of, again, around the region of consumer protection, really focusing right now on housing and tenant protections. Over the past several months and year, honestly, we've had several constituent concerns relating to their housing situation, and so one of the things that we're looking at right now is legislation around what kind of protections are there for tenants. How do we make sure we're putting tenants in the right location and getting them the resources and advocacy that they need? So that's been a legislative focus for us, again, ensuring that residents of the community have good housing protection as they thrive in the community. Next on the list for us, focusing pretty heavily on, I shouldn't say heavily, but another focus for us has been a bill around municipalities. There's legislation right now on the books pertaining to legislation. We aim to bring a bill that's looking at basically if residents of a community want to become a municipality, what are the regulations around that so that individuals can be educated around that. So that's a legislative focus for us. And last but not least, again, this is an exhaustive list, but judging by the vocal complaints that we've received from the community, really looking at school board, I wouldn't call it reform, but more so updates to school board legislation. Increasingly, there are concerns about school board members being more political instead of apolitical, and so the regulation looks at how do we ensure that we can keep necessarily, political stances outside of school board representation. So that's a joint legislation across the entire state with several different municipalities and communities looking at that bill. We're also looking at things such as environmental concerns and bills, and of course, we're always looking at education and workforce development legislation. But the ones that I gave you in depth are the highest priorities that we're looking at. Again, it's not an exhaustive list, but that's based on the pretty much thousands of correspondence we've received throughout the year. I'm happy to take any questions.
He has an event coming up sometime this month. What's that date and time?
For which event?
Misa Bull Peruviano.
One more time.
Misa Bull.
Yes, that's his annual Ugly Sweater event. That'll be this Thursday night at 6:30. After the event, it's at, I believe it's 505 Gillespie Highway, right next to Joppatowne. Say it again?
525.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
I saw two questions.
I know she brought up the housing issue, so because that has become a big thing, and it has made social media, and due to that, some people got evictions like as of Thursday. Is there any housing for those people because it's cold outside?
Yeah, so what we've been encouraging people to do is notify us when they do. We helped out a few, I think one or two individuals who reached out to us before Thanksgiving, where we try to find them housing. So when we're made aware of it, we try to find someone in the community. We've worked with Harford County Action Agency and other organizations to kind of help us find housing. And so when we find these housing advocates, we try to work with them to ensure that people have housing, especially as we get into colder months and holiday season. So yes, it's something that we've proactively been monitoring and trying to collect more advocacy resources for them. We are also working with several state agencies to kind of bring in more resources as we see fit. Since the article that you mentioned came out, we have started receiving a lot more correspondence from constituents, and so the more the better, so that we can bring attention to this challenge and try to accumulate the resources needed to kind of help mitigate these challenges.
Kim?
Sir, I have a question. I wanted to go back to the energy focus.
Yes.
And so in that, in your efforts, in the state delegate efforts to look at what Constellation Energy is passing on to the consumer and things, can you tell us a little bit about the delivery fee? And it appears since all of this discussion that the split of the delivery fee and the utilities used, that fee is even greater than how much electricity people are using, and now you get separate billing, so you get one bill for the delivery of your service or the electric, and then you get a bill for the usage.
Yes.
And so they don't coincide in the same, and then when you look at some of the people that discussed it, the delivery fee is more than what
transparency
elaborate on
piece.
that, or maybe pursue that in your next session?
Yeah, I would say it's probably coming as a result of some of the transparency that we're trying to escalate and have higher transparency, so you're probably seeing that. As far as the details of what the breakdown is, I do not have that detail, but I just wrote it down. I'm happy to bring an update, or have Delegate Johnson bring an update at the next community meeting. I would say overall it is something that we've been pressing pretty hard to make sure that corporations like Constellation give us as consumers greater transparency into how they're billing us, why, and where is our funding going to get these services that we're receiving. So that is something.
I mean, the one example that stood out for me was this person's bill that had $132 for electric use, and then 200 something for delivery. And I'm thinking, you know, it's going through the same system that it's going through before, and their bill went, you know, doubled almost.
I would say, considering Delegate Johnson sits on those committees, examples like that are great for us. If you could forward that to our office, I'll be happy to escalate that, because those are the great examples that we need to kind of continue our good committee work that's happening right now in Annapolis.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Priscilla? Yeah, I went to this meeting that the electric company had, for the little bit that I used, beyond what the regular amount was like a year ago. And it's crazy to me, you know, because then you get other expenses that come up, not related, but it just makes the crunch on a person with a fixed income, it makes it even harder.
He said he's gonna look at that information up for us.
Yeah.
To get us an update.
Consistent across the board, we've been seeing people, the delegates have been trying very hard to understand why the costs are continuously rising. As you can imagine, there's a lot of red tape and reasons why individuals don't want to give us the answers we're looking for, but it's something that we continue to pound pavement for, to ask for answers for these kinds of things. So I just wrote that down as well for us to.
It sounds to me that it's the same kind of a situation from my perspective as looking into that company as you have to look into a local government with regard to doging. You have to clean house and stop using money that is coming from the humble consumer. You know, everybody is not up here financially.
That's why we're fighting the way we're fighting.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here from Lauren Erickson's office? Okay, I guess I'm gonna stop putting it on the. Sam, do you have something for us tonight?
Well, I just wanted to say that we had our first community Thanksgiving meal that was hosted by the 755 Alliance, along with Edgewood Assembly of God, Legion, and
One at a time.
It was a great turnout. We had 17 volunteers sign up. In fact, they brought friends of friends, and we ended up with 50 plus. And in all, we fed about over 100 people, and it's going to be the first of an annual tradition. So it was really nice, making people feel like at home. The servers were bringing them drinks and dessert, and just having small talk. And people actually lingered almost for the whole time. So that was great purpose of engaging the public in that human interaction that we've been missing for so long. So anyway, that's that, and Melissa will talk about that next time.
Thank you. Adam?
Hang on. Sorry, everybody. I had, whatever. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if people can see my head or not. I'll stand back here.
You're good.
All right, the Harford Transit thing. Somebody who's not as annoying as me must have talked to somebody and actually was able to get something done. I think Nalanda may have had something to do with that because now the new map includes Joppatowne High School and that neighborhood that it would take a kid 2.5 hours to get home. So we're going in the right direction there. Unfortunately, now there's like this little sliver, well, it's not a sliver, but from Joppatowne High School up Joppa Farm Road and then over to Trimble Road, that area is not covered. And I'm trying to see if we can get that area covered because the most direct way to get to, say, Joppatowne High School from the epicenter would be to go straight through that area. So if you look on that survey, you should see the maps and you would probably see there's like a hole right in Joppatowne. I'm hoping that we can just kind of connect that because I think the microservice drivers are going to be going right through there anyway. So keep writing those surveys, keep asking for people, see if we can get it expanded. I know expanding, they have to balance because the wider the area that they have to service, the more money it's going to cost. Like I said, if you're going to be driving through that anyway, I don't see the problem in just making sure that that connects. The Joppa Development and Heritage Corporation is going to have a meeting on December 15th at 6 p.m. at the Joppatowne Christian Church building. And that is just going to be a general meeting. We had talked about doing some other things, but everything seems to have fallen through. Blue Christmas. My church, Joppatowne Christian Church, is having a Blue Christmas service on December 17th at 7 p.m. That is specifically geared towards people who are maybe not feeling the happiest around the holidays. We're a Christian church, it's going to be a Christian service, but if you're somebody who just needs some company and you're not religious or you share another faith or something like that, you can still come if you want to. I just want to be clear about what you're going to get. The goal is to find a little bit of hope, a little bit of cheer, a little bit of camaraderie, but I promise we won't make you sing Joy to the World if you're not feeling joyous. Okay.
Wait a minute, which verse are we singing?
Not Joy to the World. Silent Joy to the World. The Harford County Hope for the Homeless emergency rotating shelter is starting January 2nd. It is also going to be, that first week is going to be at the Joppatowne Christian Church building. We're actually going for 10 days the first time, just to get people in a little sooner. January 2nd, and we'll go through to the 12th. We need as much help as we can get, especially because for some reason we haven't gotten a ton of churches this year, and so we're taking 3 weeks this year. 2 of them in February are consecutive. So we're going to be putting signups out this week. And we're going to be asking for as much help as you can provide. But it's not just us. There are churches all over the county that are going to be doing this. So if you know of any church that's doing the shelter, please feel free to volunteer. If you know a church that might want to host the shelter, it's not too late. We can probably get people up and running. Even if you can take like 10 to 15 people in January, that would be an immense help. Because right now, the way that things are lined up, we cannot take more than 18 people in the month of January. Joppatowne Christian Church could, but the churches that follow us can only take 18, and right now the powers that be are saying rather than have 30 or 40 for week 1 and then kick people out because they can't be housed in week 2, week 3, week 4, let's just keep everybody artificially down to 18. And I would love to see more churches or another organization. Again, it doesn't have to be religious. Anybody, if there's somebody who knows people who are willing to help and willing to support, I can promise you there are people who will work their way out of the woodwork to help you. A lot of you in this room have come to help, and we truly, truly appreciate it. If you are interested in the Joppatowne effort, and again, that's not just a Joppatowne Christian Church effort. We get so many volunteers. 755 Alliance comes over, Ralph has come, Jeff has come. We have people who come out of the woodwork to do that, and it's a Joppatowne effort entirely. So we are hosting January 2nd to the 12th, and then we're going to take a break, and then February 8th, which is Super Bowl Sunday, we're going to pick up again. That's going to be a big Super Bowl party, and then we're going through not to just the following Monday, but the Monday after that. So I think it's February 8th to the 23rd. I will be cranky as all get out and tired by the end of that. So the more people who come and help us, the better. And I thank you so much in advance. And one last thing, I'm not sure, this is like a little further away, but the signups may open up by the next time we're in this room. So AARP does every year they do free tax filing for seniors, and actually for anybody. You don't have to be a senior to use their services. And they are going to be hosting that on Thursdays from about 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Joppatowne Christian Church building. That opens up usually in January, and I don't know if it's going to open up like January 2nd before we get back here. So if you want that, please be looking out for it. I'll try to post it as soon as I see it. We don't post that, the AARP posts it, but man, those appointments go fast. So if you would like free tax filing, keep an eye out when we get into the beginning of January, and hopefully they'll open it up. They don't usually announce that they're going to open it up. It just appears one day, and then we start getting phone calls asking for appointments, and we're like, nope, you have to go to the website. So if you need help with that, let me know. I think that's all I've got. Anybody got anything for me? Bongtong?
No, I don't, well, I just wanted to say, since you talked about the rotating shelters, the Alliance is in the process of purchasing a portable AED unit for the rotating shelters.
Oh, I heard that there was going to be one. I didn't know who that was, but it doesn't surprise me that it's you. And hey, while we're talking, a great community partner for that happens to be Wash and Fold Express over in Edgewood, because they do great laundry work for us, washing sheets and stuff like that. All the community partners can come out. We need all the help we can get. The problem has never been higher. I've never seen it as bad as it is right now in the 12 and a half years that I've been here, and the resources have never been as slim. So.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, so, I probably won't see you, I guess, until next year, which will probably be a month from now. At our January meeting, it is understood through the county that the county executive is going around to all the different CAD meetings, and he is scheduled to be at our January 5th meeting. And I did see him personally at one of my meetings, and he said, so I'm gonna be at the January meeting, and I'm like, well, Cindy must have told me, so, anything that comes up that day, you know, unexpectedly, he will be our speaker in January.
Just wanted to give you a heads up, I serve on a committee with Amtrak, and our committee works on the height of the bridge. It's very concerned to a lot of people, both on the Bush River and the Gunpowder River. And we had our online meeting just a couple of weeks ago, and we're still pushing heavy for at least 25 feet, hopefully more. They only want to deal with like 5 feet, which is addition to what's there already, which is certainly, when you're talking about a 125-year-old bridge, it'll be another 100 years before they ever do it again. You really need to get it up high enough, as they've done many bridges, you know, throughout the county. So I represent that, and Chesapeake Bay Yacht Club Association, which I'm a member of, because there's 2 yacht clubs up on the Bush, and the club represents actually about 50 yacht clubs throughout the state, and so we're real concerned about the whole bridge project. So we got a lot of help, support, and we're trying to keep you abreast of how we're doing. So there's a debate going back and forth. I don't know what the height's, not the height, the clearance.
Right.
Clearance is, the height is irrelevant, you know, it doesn't matter. It's the clearance, you know, so we'll keep you abreast of how that's going.
Anyway, as I said, barring anything that comes up unexpectedly, Bob Castle will be our speaker in January. And I just want to wish everybody a very safe and very happy holiday season. Melissa?
I got nothing.
When I say he takes notes, he takes notes. They're 3 and 4 pages.
I'm just gonna talk about the Christmas tree lights. Go ahead.
Yeah, I should have thought about that, what I was saying. Santa runs, the fire departments are out now doing their Santa runs for those of you Edgewood, Joppatowne, out in the area. Remember though that the priority is safety and emergency calls, so they are in service while they're going around, so if something happens while they're in the middle of the run, they will go back and they will continue back on it.
The 25th, November 25th, has they rescheduled that date?
With that?
The November 25th one.
Yes, I don't know how the dates, yet. You just have to look at the individual company's website that services your area. Christmas tree, if you're using a live tree, please support our local farmers in Harford County. I have to say that, but also make sure the tree is watered daily, at least once a day, if not twice a day, and turn off your lights at night. We had a fire, there's one not too long ago already in Frederick County where the lights caught the tree on fire. The tree was actually dried out, so thank God nobody was hurt. Remember, turn the lights off to the tree at night, make sure there's plenty of water in there. Guys, make sure we're safe. Thank you.
All right, beautiful people. So December the 13th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will be outside. We're gonna plant the tree on December 3rd, right outside here, so that you can see it coming in and out of Edgewood, Joppa, Joppatowne. We want to do this. This is going to be the first in 10 years. Bantan Miller has helped me tremendously. Nalanda Robbins has helped me tremendously. May I never have an idea to hit social media. But we have had the trees coming from Jones Family Farm, but this is their Street, Maryland location, because we had to have a juicing tree, y'all. We had to have a big one so you can see it. So it's coming from Jones Family Farm. It will be delivered on the 3rd. We will begin to decorate it. But the 13th, and this is not a me thing. This is a we. I flew here. Y'all grew here.
Give me the date again.
Say it again.
Is the date?
December the 13th.
December 13th.
6 p.m.
And time for Hanukkah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
You know I like coming to your Hanukkah festival every year.
That's
So we will, that day we have some curlers. It's gonna be so cute. Did I say that right? I have an accent. Y'all can see what I meant. So Christmas carolers. And they're so cute. So Lasso is helping out tremendously with this as well. Lasso. Okay. We have ages 2 to 4 years old. That is just one of our version of carolers that will be singing as the tree is being lit. So we got coffee, thank you. We have Boys and Girls Club. Who else we got? We got so many people. But the tree was definitely sponsored in twofold by 755 Alliance and Toyota. Forsman. What I gotta say? 40. Don't forget the 40. So yeah. So all of this is coming together. It's all for y'all. All for y'all. If you have any part of Edgewood, Joppa, Joppatowne, this tree like this for us. For years, I'm going to Abingdon, I'm going to Bel Air, and we just need it here. Hope for all of us. Love y'all. Happy holidays. Y'all rock.
Okay, if anybody else have anything else, the meeting is officially adjourned at 8:30.
What's that?